So for the last couple of weeks, I've heard a bunch of names being rumored for a possibility that the Bears could trade for in this offseason. Names like Myles Garrett of Cleveland, or Michael Parsons of Dallas, or maybe Trey Hendrickson of Cincinnati. But there is one name that I haven't heard many people talk about, and I want to bring him to your attention in this video. Welcome to Bears Yard. This your boy Vipe. And yeah, I've heard all the chatter, all the names from Myles Garrett to Micah Parsons to Trey Hendrickson, all of these people that the Bears fans are thinking about the Bears trading for. And I have said time and time again, no, you can't do it. But you're probably like, Viper, why can't the Bears trade for these people? Because the draft capital would be too expensive for the Bears to give up, considering we have so much work to do on the offensive line and the rest of the team. But let's just play devil's advocate for a moment here and consider what it would take to land somebody like a Trey Hendrickson or a Micah Parsons or a Myles Garrett. The Bears just did this a few years ago when they traded for Khalil Mack. And in that trade, the Bears had to give up 2 first-round picks, one in 2019 and one in 2020, a third-round pick, and a 6th-round pick. So 4 draft picks the Bears had to give up to acquire a Khalil Mack. I would argue that you're probably going to have to give up more draft capital in today's day and age because things are a little bit more expensive these days. So I ask you again, Bear fans, do you really want to give up at least 2 first-round picks and then some to acquire one of these players that y'all are foaming at the mouth about? But before I tell you the name that you should be considering, why don't you consider hitting that subscribe button so you can come back here and get more of my Bears opinions every Monday through Friday. Now that we got that out the way, there is one name that none of you all have considered, at least one of you all have, but most of y'all have not considered the Bears trading for. Can I interest you in a one Abdul Carter of Penn State? I know what y'all saying. Vipe, he is not an NFL player. How are the Bears going to trade for him? Blah, blah, blah. Even though Abdul Carter is not an NFL player right now, he is in the upcoming 2025 NFL draft, which means, yes, you would have to trade up in the draft to land him. Abdul Carter is going to go top 5 in this upcoming NFL draft, and the Chicago Bears pick number 10 currently. So the Bears are going to have to move up a few spots. Now, there's some rumors that Abdul Carter can go number 1. He might go anywhere from 1 to 5, but he's probably gone within the top 5. So I want to talk to you about some trades that have happened recently in the NFL, well, in the past 20 years, that have occurred with teams trading up into the top 10 to acquire people that they want to acquire. So in 1999, Mike Ditka was completely out of his mind because he traded the entire Saints draft capital to go up to number 5 to acquire a Ricky Williams. I mean, Ditka gave up every draft pick the Saints had that year. They had the 12th pick, so he gave up the 12th pick, the 3rd round pick, and a 4th round pick, 5th round pick, all of them. Even gave up future draft capital, even gave up a future 1st and a future 3rd, all of it to go get Ricky Williams. Now, that is extreme. That's not happening. But later on that year, our very own Chicago Bears were also involved, well, later on that draft anyway, our very own Chicago Bears were involved in a big trade where they acquired a lot of draft capital because they traded Washington. Washington went up to number 7 that year to get Champ Bailey, and the Bears traded back with them to land the 12th pick, a 3rd round pick, a 4th round pick, and a 5th round pick. So more recently, in 2013, the Dolphins and the Raiders were involved in a trade in the top 10. The Raiders traded away their 3rd pick to the Dolphins, and they got back the Dolphins' 12th pick, and they got back a Dolphins 2nd round pick, which was number 42. So that trade was a little lighter because I think that was a year where there weren't many quarterbacks going in the top 10 of the draft. A lot like this year, although I find it hard to believe that moving from 12 to 3 would be that easy in this upcoming draft. But again, this is a draft where you don't have that many quarterbacks considered going in the top 10. I think you might have 2 in Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward, and that's probably it. Hopefully another quarterback or 2 can get mentioned in the top 10 by the time the combine is over with and all that stuff, but I wouldn't hold my breath. And then there was one more trade in 2018 between the Bills and the Buccaneers, where the Buccaneers moved the Bills moved up to the pick 7, and they acquired pick 7 and a 7th round pick, and the Buccaneers got the 12th pick in the 1st round, a 2nd round pick, and actually they got 2 2nd round picks. So If we look at that draft history, what would it take for the Bears to go up from 10 to maybe 3 or maybe 4? Well, you're definitely obviously giving up your first round pick, so you're giving up pick 10 automatically. But I would argue that you're probably giving up picks 39 and 41 as well if you're moving up at least at the very minimum to get an Abdul Carter. And even that might not be enough. But I know a lot of y'all talk about how it's much better to trade for a proven player that has already done it than to trade up for a draft pick where you don't know and it's a crapshoot. But I am pretty confident in telling you today, what's today's date? I think it's the February 11th. I'm pretty confident in telling you today that I feel like Abdul Carter is going to be a monster in the NFL. This man played in the college playoff game with an injured shoulder, still bodying people left and right. Couldn't mess with that man. So I have no doubt that Abdul Carter is going to come in the NFL and be an immediate game wrecker, just wrecking things. So if you know you can acquire that type of talent in the NFL draft and it costs you a few draft picks, maybe that's something you consider instead of trying to go for the more expensive route or getting a Myles Garrett or Trey Hendrickson or Michael Parsons. Go get an Abdul Carter. Now, again, it's still going to cost you significant draft capital, but it might be a little less expensive than going after one of those premium NFL players. Not to mention, not only are you giving up draft capital to get those NFL players, they are going to want to be paid. They all have contract extensions coming up. So are you comfortable paying a Myles Garrett or Michael Parsons or Trey Hendrickson some $30 million plus a year in addition to giving up the draft capital that it would take to acquire them? Ooh, not me, fam. Not me. If we are going to trade for a defensive player this offseason, think about Abdul Carter out of Penn State, a lot cheaper, and it's going to be an absolute game wrecker coming up here in the 2025 NFL draft. But Bear fans, what do you think? Would you rather go trade what you need to trade to acquire an Abdul Carter, or are y'all still on the Myles Garrett, Trey Hendrickson, and Michael Parsons train? Drop a comment and get more of my Bears opinions in this video right here.